There is a difference between a peace lover, a peacekeeper, and a peacemaker. Peacemaking is the hard work of entering into the conflict and the chaos in order to get both sides to agree to a ceasefire. Peacemaker personalities are especially equipped for this task because they can easily step into other people's shoes. Everyone who would rather avoid conflict, let me know by making a passive-aggressive comment under your breath. There are very few people who appreciate conflict and arguments. Most people would rather avoid those hard, painful conversations, but I think we are all aware that absence of conflict does not equal peace. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. Whenever a family never fights or argues, it's probably because nobody is talking to each other. They're all just avoiding the tough topics that need to be addressed. Anger and resentment bubble and simmer just below the surface. From the outside, everything might look okay, but unless there is some conflict, there can never be real growth or healing. See, Jesus says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Or as the Message reads, "You're blessed when you can show people how to cooperate instead of compete or fight. That's when you discover who you really are and your place in God's family." Some of the Beatitudes have a more obvious personality type connection than others. This is one of those. This personality type is called peacemakers, obviously. When they're not at their best, peacemakers tend to avoid all conflict and uncomfortable situations. They can physically leave or mentally check out, or worse, use numbing behaviors in order to preserve their inward tranquility. But when peacemakers are at their best, they can become expert negotiators, mediators, and peacemakers. They have an easier time than most seeing the world from other people's perspective. They can easily see both sides of a conflict and determine a middle ground on which to compromise, which makes really good pastors and church elders and teachers and even politicians. I love how Eugene Peterson words this beatitude in the Message. He describes these people as those who can show people how to cooperate instead of compete or fight. The peacemaker personality is not inherently competitive for the most part. They just want everyone to have a good time playing the game. Unfortunately, we live in a world full of competition. We compete for jobs, for online attention, for resources, for followers, for the promotion, for the corner office. And we've turned singing, dancing, modeling, and cupcake baking into major competition shows. And there are even shows to crown the best of the worst cook or chef or baker. We're so competitive that we need to know who's the best worst at something. Peacemakers are those who step in and remind us that not everything is a competition, that life is a team sport. Ministry is a team sport. Business and government and baking are team sports. But peacemakers tend to struggle finding their place in life, or going through the process of individuation, which is just a fancy word for someone learning their identity and their place in society. They tend to define their identity based on their relationship to others. As kids, peacemakers picked up on the message that their own desires and ideas and opinions, even their presence, didn't matter so much. So they deferred to others who were more assertive and would often prefer to fade into the background. But when they step into their role as peacemakers, then they can truly become who they were meant to be. Or as Peterson words it, that's when you discover who you really are and your place in God's family.